Hey everyone, I'm in my truck in a parking lot, so if you hear any weird noises, it's because they're still plowing from the snow we got last night. But I wanted to talk to you real quick about David in the Bible. David, we hear this story all the time as young kids. You know, David killed Goliath, and it's a great story, and people use it, even non-Christians use it. It's just a great story, and it's not just a story. I mean, it's a true story. But there's some things in there that God has really pointed out to me in these last, I'd say almost a month now, that I want to share with you. In 1 Samuel 17, chapter 20, it says, "Early in the morning, David left the flock in the care of his shepherd, loaded up, and set out as Jesse, his father, told him." You know, I was talking to God, and not, I don't know if I was complaining. I guess I was. I was like, God, you know, I obeyed you. You told me to move here. You told me to, you know, do some things, and it hadn't gone the way that I thought that it should go. But nevertheless, I have to obey God. And what God showed me here is David had to obey his father to go and go and bring refreshments to the soldiers at the front line. But the thing is that a lot of times we think when we obey God, oh, it's all going to go great. You know, if God is for me, who could be against me? And that's scripture is absolutely true. And I'll show you here how it's true. But David still had to face Goliath after he obeyed his father. After he obeyed his father, he still had situations that he had to face. Now, the scripture comes in, if God is for me, who could be against me? David used that to fuel him to fight Goliath. But what I'm trying to tell you is, when God tells you to plant that seed, when God tells you to begin to tithe, if you stop tithing or haven't tithed, when God tells you to go to church when you don't feel like it, when it's become easy because of the last few years, everybody's gotten lazy. You know, the Bible also talks about don't forsake the gathering. It's talking about coming to church. You know, a lot of people say, no, well, we need to have it at home. Yeah, but you can go to a football game, which is awesome. You know, don't get me wrong. If you want to invite me to a football game, I'll go. But what I'm trying to tell you is things are still going to come against you when you obey, after you obey God. But because you obey God, if God is for you, who could be against you? David still defeated Goliath. A lot of times we think that it's going to be easy, and that's not true. You still need God even though you've already obeyed him. You're still going to face giants after you obeyed him. You know, another thing that God pointed out to me was Samuel anointed David. You know what David did after he got anointed to be king? He went back to doing his job, and he went back to being a shepherd. He went back to being a shepherd for I think it was like 15 years or something crazy, or a few years it took him before he even became in charge of the army. Now, I could be wrong in that, and I haven't looked it up. I apologize, but it took a while after he was anointed to be a king. He went back to do his everyday normal job. How many times do you feel like that? God has called you to preach. God has called you to be the light in your family, but yet you got to go to your everyday job. The thing is, it's what you do in that time period that sets you up, that sets you apart. It makes the difference between a leader and a follower. See, here's the thing. When David met the lion, or went up there into the lions, and he said, I am going to beat this Goliath. Everybody was against him. His own family, his own brother said, go back home. You know, you're not going to be able to defeat Goliath. You're not going to be able to do it. How many times has our families, and they may mean well, they may mean to protect you, and maybe his brothers meant to protect him, I don't know. But if God is for you, who could be against you? So that's what David had in his heart. He said, I could do this. I could defeat Goliath. And Saul said, you know, you can't do it. You don't have the experience. You don't have the education. You're too young. And that's something that I've always said is you could go to college and still be a nothing. You could go to college and be a something. You cannot go to college and be a nothing. And you cannot go to college and be a something. It's all about a heart. It's a heart thing. So anyways, so David, you know, he had all this opportunity. Saul gave him his own sword, his own shield, his helmet, and all this other stuff. And David said, I can't do all this stuff. You know, people are going to tell you, you got to do it my way. You got to do it this way. You got to get an education. You got to do it this way. Different things like that, which was Saul was trying to help David and tell him, you can't do it. You can't defeat Goliath your way. You have to do it my way. And let me tell you something. If that were true, Saul would have defeated Goliath. David said, no, I don't need any of this. I don't need any of this. I just need God on my side. So as you go throughout the day, try to make this video as short as I can, because this can get exciting and I could go on and on. I'll probably have more videos coming up. But as you go throughout the day, people are going to tell you, no, you can't do it. But if God told you to do it, if God told you to plant that seed, to give that money, to go to a certain place, to start a new job, or to continue in your job, God said, if you obey, I will be with you. You got to have faith. You got to build your faith. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in the next video. I just want to tell you thank you for taking the time to watch the video. Would you like, share? If you're on YouTube, would you subscribe to our YouTube page? And, honestly, we'd love to hear from you. You could visit our website, email us at echochurchlife@gmail.com, or visit the website, echochurch.life. We'd love to hear from you. Thanks.